Hello and welcome back to week number 6 of our 52-week series, and this week we're going to be talking about swing playing and understanding what swing playing actually is. But before we get into that, go ahead and like the video, subscribe to the channel, and let's get into this content. So this week we're talking about swing playing, and if you've ever gone for a lesson, you may have seen it where the instructor has, once you've got your setup position, drawn a line to follow the kind of shaft through and then up. Some people will draw it from the kind of hosel or the heel of the club through the mid arm and then through the mid back for kind of that shaft kind of swing playing look. If the line is actually following the shaft and then through the arms and then through the body, that's actually the shaft line, that's not the swing plane. And so typically we'll see it kind of higher up through that midline of the body, and that's typically kind of seen as the line for the swing plane on video. But let's talk about swing plane, because there are two swing planes that are commonly seen. One of them is a one plane swing, and then the second one is a two plane swing. So let's talk about the two plane swing first. We take an athlete and they get their setup. Two plane swing is actually going to be where, as we get to the top of our backswing, we see that that lead arm is above the trail shoulder. So somewhere between kind of the neck and the shoulder. And so we'll see the hands are typically higher. There might be a little bit of a gap here in between the arms, and we see the hands are above this trail shoulder. When we talk about a two-plane swing, what we're actually talking about is the hands being above and the arm being above the trail shoulder. And the reason why it's called a two-plane swing is because what typically happens, we get to the top of the backswing and we see that arms high, hands are high. Now all of a sudden when it starts to reroute, this is where it becomes that second plane. So it's not moving up and then down on the same plane, it's actually moving up. Tends to be a drop down and then coming more around the body, and that's where we get that two plane part of the swing. One for the backswing, second one for the downswing. When we talk about a one plane swing, what we're really talking about is being able to take the club back and then round on the same plane. And what that looks like is that lead arm, whether if you're a right-handed golfer, that left arm is going to cover more of the chest, and that hand or lead arm is going to be more in line with that trail shoulder. Now typically what we see with the one plane swing is someone that really rotates well on one kind of axis, just does a really good kind of turn in the backswing, really good turn on the through swing. So it's a lot of more rotation dependent swing. You tend to see with a two plane swing, there's a little bit of a move off the ball and a movement back towards the ball. Pros and cons of a two plane swing. Pros can be more powerful. Cons could be timing. So being able to make sure that we time it is a key consideration here. It can be more effective to have more of a one plane swing. When we talk about players on tour that would have maybe a two plane swing, definitely someone like Scotty Scheffler gets those hands really high in the backswing, and then there's a good movement into the ball to impact. You see a lot of foot movement with Scotty Scheffler. That tends to be a consideration of how you're moving the rest of the body to match what's happening with the swing plane. Let's talk about someone who would do a one plane swing. Jon Rahm, perfect example. You see him really squatting into it, and then as he gets to the top, you can see he's kind of laid off and he's got that lead arm across that trail shoulder and then does a really good job of turning through the ball. That would be someone who plays a one plane swing. Some people will argue whether one is better than the other. They are both in the game, okay? So it's finding what works for you, whether a one plane or a two plane swing works for you. I think there are some physical limitations that can play into this. So if you're tight through the back, so if you're in a kind of squat position and you can't get your arms over your head, it's probably going to lend that you're shorter here. Trying to play a two plane swing is probably not going to be good for you because it's going to be difficult to get the arms overhead. Yet getting the arms more across the chest is probably going to be easier for a one plane swing. So there are some physical limitations. There are some conversations about timing for these swings. So it's all about finding what works best for you and then being able to marry that to your swing and to your game. So that's a swing plane. That's how you look for it, and that's kind of what you're assessing when you look at your own swing. Up to you to decide whether one is better than the other, but being able to understand both is going to help you decide which one is the best for you, and then being able to play your game to that. So, shorter video this week, swing plane, understanding that there are two, high And then obviously a kind of high hands or high lead arm dropping down on the inside is more of the 2-plane swing. Lead arm across the torso in line with the shoulder is more of your 1-plane swing. Go ahead and like the video, subscribe to the channel, and we'll see you next week for week number 7.